I'm Matt,
And I'm Rissa.
and we're here to coach you in how to have an exceptional life.
And today we're talking about keeping your promise versus honoring your word.
And I promise you're going to love this video.
Okay, Matt. So what is the difference between keeping your promise and honoring your word? They kind of sound like the same thing.
Most people relate to them as the same thing. The catch is, let's talk about promises first, I guess.
Sure.
So most of us have had the experience of breaking a promise
Mhm.
or having a promise that was made to us broken.
Mhm.
And that generally leaves people upset, frustrated, whatever.
Mhm.
It's very clear for us as human beings that breaking promises is bad.
Right.
Perfect. It's not true, though. I know. Mind-boggling.
But that's what I've been taught as a child.
Well, and it's not even what you've been taught. It's your experience, right? It's very clear, right? I didn't pick you up at the airport. I said I'd pick you up at the airport. You're upset. I broke my promise. That's what caused the problem. 1 + 1 = 2.
Mhm.
Very simple, right?
Mhm.
But if instead, when you got off the plane, there was a limo waiting for you,
Ooh.
a little sign that says, Rissa Jackson
Mhm.
written on it, and you get in, and the driver says, I can take you anywhere you want to go. You've got me for the entire night, right? Are you upset with me?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? But the important thing to realize here is I still broke my promise, right?
Mhm.
My promise was I'll pick you up at the airport. Promise broken, but you're not upset.
Mhm.
So what's going on here?
Is this the honoring your word part?
Yes, this is the honoring your word part, right?
Wow.
Because behind that promise, I was giving you a word.
Mhm.
I was giving you my word that you'll be taken care of.
Mhm.
You won't have to worry about your transportation. I'll make sure that you get from the airport to wherever it is you need to go.
Mhm.
The important part of the promise wasn't that I would do it, although that would be the most logical, easy way to do it.
Mhm.
People don't get upset when you break your promise.
Yeah.
People get upset when you dishonor your word.
Mhm.
The difficulty is we don't talk about the word that we're giving,
Yep.
so sometimes there can be confusion. For instance, my partner Rachel flies to Mexico a lot for work.
Mhm.
She'll spend a week in Mexico
Yeah.
and then flies back, which means the flight gets in at like 10:30 p.m.
Oof.
She's normally in bed at 10 o'clock, right? She's been away from me, from the cats all week. And so if I tell her, hey, I'm going to pick you up at the airport at midnight or whenever her flight arrives, she's very excited. And if we use the exact same example we did, right? If instead I have her picked up by a limo
Yeah.
and the limo says, we'll take you anywhere you want to go, she's not happy.
Yeah.
She's still upset because for her, the word wasn't, I'll make sure you get taken care of. She can handle that herself, right?
Yeah.
The word for her is she's going to get to see the person she loves and feel safe and comfortable and relaxed.
Yeah.
And that word wasn't honored.
Mhm.
So again, promise, not important. Word, all important.
Right.
Usually these things go hand in hand with each other, but there's a number of instances where they don't.
Mhm. So it seems like with the example you gave, it's really about understanding the person and what honoring your word would mean to them versus like what the promise was.
Yeah, it's perfect, right? And sometimes the inverse of this happens, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Somebody asks me to go to the opera.
Mhm.
I do not have an interest in the opera, right? But I say, okay, fine, I'll go to the opera with you. And then during the opera, I'm sitting there and I'm scrolling Instagram. I'm not paying any attention. I'm like, hey, are we leaving right away or whatever? And then we go out and then the person is upset with me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I kept my promise. wanted me to go to the opera. I went to the opera. I don't understand why you're frustrated, right? It's because it wasn't about the promise to actually physically attend. It was about my word that was implied to enjoy myself, to find a way to have a good time, to be interested, to be present while I was there, etc. So sometimes you can even keep your promise and dishonor your word, right?
Wow. I never even thought of that. That's really interesting.
So what we want people to focus on is not just keep your promise.
Right.
It is, how do I honor my word at all times? And this is where things become difficult because promises are reality.
Yeah.
You either did the thing or you didn't do the thing. Like it's black and white, right? But that's the part that doesn't actually matter. It's the reasoning behind, it's the who were you in the situation, who have you promised to be. That's what's vital.
Wow. It seems like a good lead into our later conversation about ways of being.
Yes, which will be in a wonderful video that you should watch. So we also have ways of mitigating things, right? I don't want anybody to watch this video and be left with, well, great, Matt said just don't worry about keeping your promises anymore, because promises are important, right? It allows people to rely on us. If now we're trapeze performers, we're going to go perform at the circus, right?
Fine.
And as we're up on the trapeze, you're going to go ahead and launch yourself.
Right.
And I'm on the trapeze and I'm going to catch you. And as we swing away from each other, then we swing towards each other and you launch yourself off the trapeze and I say, hey, Rissa, I'm not going to catch you today.
What?
Right? You're going to be pretty upset.
What?
Exactly. I didn't keep my promise. But if instead of that scenario, as we are walking into the tent, I say, hey, I'm not going to be able to catch you today. But Luis, who has trained me for 15 years in the art of catching people on a trapeze, has volunteered to take my spot and he will catch you today.
Yeah.
You might still be frustrated because you really wanted to do the routine with me. You might be happy because you have somebody who's very talented and super well trained. You might be a number of places, right? But by me giving you more time to react to the change in the situation, even though I'm still breaking my promise, you're going to be in a much happier place by the situation. The more time we can communicate in advance that we're not going to keep our promise, the happier people are. And sometimes it has it so that people don't even think we're not keeping our promise, right? If I say, hey, let's have lunch next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and you say, okay, and I say, great, and then as we're about to walk away, I say, oh, wait, I'm not available on Tuesday. Can we do lunch on Wednesday at 1 o'clock instead? And you go, sure. People don't have that as a broken promise.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically it is. I said I'd be there Tuesday at 1 o'clock and I'm not going to be there Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I've just communicated with you so far in advance so as that it doesn't have any real impact on you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we want to deal with. Inside of honoring our word to other people, we want to minimize negative impact on them as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like the promise is fact. Like it is what happened. But the honoring your word is kind of like the context around that.
Very good, right? And we have a video about context versus content, interpretation versus reality, and this all ties directly into that.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait for them to hear about that.
I can't either. Make sure you tune in.
So what do people do who have already broken their promise? Is there a way they can go back and fix things?
It's a great question, right? Because look, in life, you will break your promises. The only way to make sure you never break a promise is to never make one, right? Or my promise is I will lay in bed and never get out of it and then make sure nothing ever happens to my house, right? That's not the kind of life we want people to live. I want people out there making bold promises that they might not be able to keep, but I want them to be honoring their word behind the promise at every moment, right? So What do you do if you're not going to be able to keep your promise, or if you have already broken your promise?
Mm-hmm.
You want to still honor the word, because the promise isn't the thing, right? And I'll use an example from my life. In a past life, I taught partner acrobatics.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a private lesson with two people who drove in from 30 minutes away for their first ever acro lesson. And they drove in on a Saturday to meet me at 2:00 at the studio. And I wasn't there because I didn't put it into my calendar, had zero idea that this was a thing that was going to happen until my boss gives me a call at 5:00. One, to make sure I'm alive, which I was, but then two, to find out what the hell happened, because she has two very angry people.
Yeah.
Understandably so, right? So I took a few minutes to figure out what can I do in this situation that would still honor my word, which is to have people have a good experience around me. And so I looked up a restaurant in Round Rock that was pretty nice, and I got a gift card for that, and I sent them a letter of apology. And I said, hey, just so you know, this is completely on me. This isn't the company. I'm going to make sure that you get to have a free private introduction with your choice of instructor. That will not be me, right? And then I want to give you this gift card as well so that you can go out and have a good experience. They wrote back and said, thank you very much. That's way above and beyond. I really appreciate it. They were left with a positive experience, arguably a better experience than they would have had I actually kept the promise.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be somebody who leaves people happier that you broke your promise to them than if you'd actually kept it, you'll have no problems in life. People will be beating paths to your doorstep, right? Now, in that scenario, right, I was out, $100, for the gift card and for paying for the lesson and, whatever else. And that sucked.
Yeah.
But my reputation was sterling, right? Instead of people walking around going, oh, you can't trust that guy or you can't trust that company, they had nothing but glowing reviews for me and them, even though they never even met me, right? If you can be the kind of person who honors their word to that level, it won't matter whether or not you keep your promises.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to sum up how people can handle situations where they've broken their promise.
And if you look at a lot of the people that are greatly admired, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, or whatever, you'll notice that they made huge promises that they didn't fulfill on, right? We still have racism. We still have hunger and poverty, right? But people don't look to those figures and go, well, didn't keep their promise. Because who they were was someone who was constantly honoring their word inside of that promise. And that's really what we want to leave people with today. I want people to go make huge promises, right? I want people to go say they're going to do things that they have no idea of how they'll fulfill on. And then honor the word that promise is given in every moment. Go be a world changer and don't worry about whether or not you actually get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Be somebody who is constantly climbing.
That's beautiful. Should we give them any homework?
I think we should give them some homework. So your homework this week is going to be notice where you have made promises or where somebody has made a promise to you, and ask yourself, what is the word in which that promise was given? And do you think that you and the other person would answer that question in the same way? If you're feeling really brave, you can actually ask that question and check it out. If you'd like to find out more about us, you can find us at www.anexceptionallife.com/newsletter. There you'll be able to sign up to get emails from us about video drops, as well as be the first to know about the 24 hours of coaching, where we'll have 24 free 1-hour coaching slots, first come, first serve. As always, your time and attention are yours to give, and you gave them very generously. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.